Yeah. So then what is learning? Uh, Learning is living. This cannot be separated. So, learning as a separate act is the first fragmentation that has happened to the human being. Now, what is an unfragmented act of learning is what one needs to inquire. But why do we have to learn? This is another primary question that we need to ask. Because if we look around in life, everything alive is learning. So there has to be much more fundamental to learning than what modern human beings are thinking of. Learning is not to make more and more people who have supposedly have something called knowledge. Learning is living itself. That is the primary principle of life. This beingness is to be established, understood for people who are trying to engage with this whole business of learning, education, or converting others, transforming others, empowerment. All these terminologies actually make us believe that we can do this to others. But it is already given by life. This is our format, our structure, our everything is about learning. So in that, if you actually look at what a child learns, that everyday observation of a child reveals that child learns what it sees, what it experiences. You ask the child not to touch, the child will tell you not to touch, exactly in the manner you told the child. So the child basically absorbed what it saw. So imitation, absorption in one sense. But actually if we go into a bit deeper into this whole aspect of learning, and if you look at these two ways that I have encountered, in one, the conditions awakens the natural quality in us to engage with the world. In the other one, we are controlled and transformed and engineered to understand the world in a completely different manner. So one is about awakening the inherent qualities already that is in us, which means that we come with possibilities. External conditions, culture, space, people, society, everything draws it out. So both are important, that there is a biological inheritance which comes as possibilities, and there is this external conditions which can either awakens this or which can curb this. Now the best example is that truth is an existential condition. So we are actually, it's not that we have to tell truth and things like that. This is again a modern misconception of this. Truth is our beingness. Truth is the existential reality. And if the conditions, external conditions are conducive, we retain that quality of truth in us. And that is why very clearly that in tribal societies there is hardly anyone telling lies, because there is no reason to tell lies. Whereas it is very clear in modernity how we impose, how we teach the children to lie. In a very, very clear manner, we teach the child to lie. When the child is telling something, the adult, the parent will tell the truth. That's all. Then the child realizes that there is something other than truth. So next time he comes and tells you a lie. But again, you look at him and say, you are lying because your face reveals it. So the child gets a second lesson, that we need a different face to tell lies. You see? Because when young children lie, their face tells that no, and it is the parents and the adults around who will tell the child, no, to lie you have to have a different face. So that then slowly the child masters a different face to tell the lies. So it's very clear. So we need to understand that learning is about being. It is not those silly subjects, fragmented subjects that experts are trying to put in us. That's not what learning is about. Those are skills that could be acquired till our cognitive processes, cognitive tools, structures are formed. Like a child learning to walk, it takes about, a year, 1.5 years for that whole structure, the process to get established. Exactly in the same manner, I think human beings takes about 10 to 15 years for the total structure to be formed. And this structure, tools, all needs to be awakened in that process. Like at each stage of the child's learning to walk, from a lying child, how it begins to crawl, how it begins to tilt. I mean, the whole process, there is something that is very tangible when we are looking at it. It takes that much time that each stage shifts, turns, all that thing happens. And if you observe the child, this is also very clear that there are certain things that the child has to do. And this process is totally denied by the schooling system and the schooled parents. So even if the child stays at home in a schooled parent, it doesn't mean that the child will be awakened to that condition. That condition can only be awakened in one sense in a very intangible manner. In a very honest environment, in a real natural environment, this things gets awakened, which is actually was the way human beings was living all the time. Those spaces are completely destroyed today. Now that space is basically a space that needs trust, and that space that can provide freedom. Now freedom again is another existential condition like truth. Freedom is not something that you can give or I can give. Freedom is the way of our beingness. Now these are few fundamental things that modernity has completely misunderstood. And only in that freedom and an environment of trust that this awakening can happen of a natural human being, holistic, sensitive, that can live in the most frugal and fragile existence on earth. So this, I think, is the key thing that of course the modernity will not allow us to even see the child, because we already assumes that we know what to do for the child. So we will never allow a condition of the child naturally doing things. So unless we go into some of these basics, see, the problem with modern research on schools is that the framework is never questioned. That school is required, books are required, teacher is required. So it is within the framework of that all kinds of research is happening. We are never looking at knowledge in society, in life, how every day people engage with each other, how people learn and do things. This is not studied at all to understand what learning is all about.